All right, welcome to Blogging with Bots. So let's cover the Blogging with Bots method. So it's not going to be exactly traditional SEO. It's kind of a combination of strategies that I've learned and applied that I have found work really well together. And one of the biggest things that, if you're like me, you can breathe a sigh of relief is it's not based on any backlinks. So you don't need any backlinks to get traffic. Go to other SEO experts for backlinks. I honestly have never built a backlink, so I don't know how to do it that well. And maybe this will change in the future, but for now, don't even worry about backlinks. And the other thing that is going to be different than a lot of SEO advice is to start with easy to rank keywords first. I think that as a beginner to intermediate, it's really important to actually see the rewards of your effort, especially with SEO, because it can take a long time if you don't choose the right keywords to see any traction at all, and that can be really discouraging. So for people who are just getting started with SEO or even intermediate, like I would consider myself, it can just be really important to start with those easy to rank keywords first. And so you can see that it's actually working and actually happening, so that you can see, oh, all I have to do is just keep doing this and keep doing more of it. And it's going to get, it's going to build more and more traffic over time. So it's going to be focused on kind of quick wins, easy wins. So what are the goals in this method? The number one goal is to, get traffic, obviously, but we're going to do that by achieving topical authority as quickly as possible. So I'll explain more of what that means. You've probably heard of it if you've looked at any SEO recently, but basically it's the idea of just getting Google to recognize you as a source of information for a particular topic. And it's not that hard to achieve. A lot of people make it seem really hard, but it's not that hard. So that's going to be the overall strategy, and we're going to have a variety of methods to get that done. The other goal is to publish content as quickly as possible, and the two goals are going to feed into each other, but this is going to be a really specific method for being able to publish content quickly with very little effort and without having to outsource it to any other people or manage a team or anything like that. I'm a solopreneur. I like to work alone. And so I need methods that, leverage technology and software to be able to help us publish as fast as possible. So those are the two goals, is achieving topical authority as quickly as possible and publishing content as quickly as possible, but in a way that is going to be sustainable and be seen as legitimate content from Google, so that you can have long-term sustainability as well. All right, welcome to Module 1, where we're going to talk about how to get SEO traffic fast with no authority or backlinks. And we're going to start by talking about something called mass page theory. Mass page theory is something that I'm not sure exactly who created it, but I learned it from these two guys, Greg Jeffries, who has an awesome course named SEO Affiliate Domination, and Kevin Holloman, who is a student of Greg's, who created his own really great course called Mass Rank Mastery. I'd highly recommend you check both of them out. I'll have links below, but that's where I learned mass page theory, and it has worked really well. Let me explain a little bit more of what that is and how it's different than traditional SEO. So basically, mass page theory says that the more keywords you rank for, the faster you grow and the more money you make. And here you can see, basically, as you rank for more keywords, you're going to get more traffic, more authority, more clicks, and more revenue, especially if you're doing affiliate marketing. And the way that you do this, instead of the traditional SEO method of finding like one keyword that is perfect and optimizing and spending a long time creating content for that one keyword, you're going to just try to rank for as many keywords as possible, as fast as possible. So you're going to do that by finding lots of long tail keywords. Those are keywords that are usually less competitive, and they may have a smaller amount of traffic, but in this method it doesn't matter, because your goal is not to optimize for each one of those keywords. It's to get something ranked on your website by Google for as many of those keywords as possible. And if all those keywords are related to the same topic, then it doesn't matter if you only get a couple clicks from each one. If you add them all up in aggregate, it ends up being hundreds or thousands of clicks, and that is enough to make money with affiliate marketing especially. It's enough to get traffic for ads. It's enough to get traffic to your blog and get email signups. So each one of those, as long as it doesn't take you a long time to create the content, and that's where we're going to come into using AI and bots and stuff, as long as it doesn't take you a long time to create the content, then it doesn't matter. Then you can continue with this plan of trying to rank for as many as possible. So each keyword in this strategy gives you that you end up ranking for, and you don't know which one Google's going to rank you for, and that's key to this too. Each keyword gives you a small traffic drip, and the faster you make content, the faster you get traffic drips. And the thing is that a lot of traffic drips add up to a big traffic flood. And again, the faster you get those traffic drips, the faster the flood can happen. So the goal with mass page theory and the way that we're going to specifically apply it. So both Kevin and Greg have different methods for applying mass page theory. Other people have their own methods as well. And I have my own methods. I've tried a bunch of them, and I'm going to teach you the one that I think is best for creating content that's going to work long term and also can be made quickly. So the goal in this method is to get as many keywords on your site with good quality content as possible, as fast as possible. And again, the faster you get those little drips of traffic, then the faster you'll also get authority, which helps long term. And you're going to get to topical authority, which we're going to talk about in an upcoming module. And the faster you're going to get traffic and sales. So another key piece of this system is a theory called topical authority. Now, I first learned about this from Kyle Roof. He is really well-regarded SEO expert. And basically what I learned from Kyle is that that same idea that I learned from mass page theory, which is that the more keywords that you rank for, then the more you are seen as an authority. And the goal is to become seen as a topical authority, meaning an authority in your particular topic by Google. And the way that you do that is just by creating a lot of content about a particular topic. And a really good example of this is Wikipedia. If you look at any particular topic on Wikipedia, you can see like how it links out to things that are similar to that term or that topic. And you can see the topical authority sort of in a list form. Another great tool to understand topical authority is Answer the Public, and this is better at seeing it visually. So you can see here, if we're looking at Python, a search engine is going to know some and then want to discover what topics are about. And so it will look for things like this, like will Python be replaced? Will Python replace Java? Will Python ever last? And the more of these things that you can cover, the more the search engine will be able to see like, oh, these are all about the same topic. Just like on a Wikipedia page, like this stuff is all related to the same topic. And the more of that you can have on your blog, then the faster Google can see it as a topical authority, and the more you're going to get traffic, and then you're going to get more credibility, and Google will continue to like your site more and more. And the way to do this is through volume, which basically the simple equation is more articles equals more authority. So the more articles that you publish about a particular topic, the more authority you will have according to Google and Bing. The other part of this is speed. So the faster you make articles about that one topic and you keep it focused on that topic, then the faster the Google and the other search engines are going to give you authority for that topic as well. So that's topical authority in its simplest form. And just keep those things in mind, that the more articles you publish about a particular topic, the more authoritative you'll be. And the faster you publish articles, the faster you'll become an authority in that topic. And lastly, the more focused, then the faster you'll become an authority on that topic as well. All right, another theory in this method is called the SEO Avalanche Theory, which is, again, how to rank with no resources. And I learned this from Kyle Roof again, but it originally came from the Builder Society forum, sometimes known as BUSA. You can see the original link here, and I'll put a link below as well to the original post. But basically, SEO Avalanche Theory is, again, a method for ranking when you don't have money for lots of paying writers or to get backlinks and stuff. So here is essentially the avalanche theory, is that Google will assign you a rank based on how many keywords you rank for and how highly you rank for those things and stuff. and it roughly correlates with how much traffic you get per day or per month. It doesn't matter. It's not the specific numbers, it's the correlation. So in theory, when you get 0 to 10 visitors per day or per month, then Google has you at level 0, and it's going to put you in the running for ranking for keywords that are a level 0 of difficulty. And when you have 10 to 20 per day or per month, then you're going to be at a level 10, and it will consider you for level 10 difficult keywords and so forth. So the best way to get traffic the easiest and fastest is to start at level 0 and rank for as many level 0 keywords as you can, and then level 10, and then level 20, 50, and so forth. And that's why it's called an avalanche, because you start small with a small snowball, and it keeps growing and growing and growing, and eventually you just keep building your traffic more and more. So yeah, the essential idea is that you have a traffic tier, especially when you're starting out with a brand new domain, and Google gives you traffic based on your tier. The tier is how much traffic you're currently getting, and keywords are going to be rewarded to sites that are on that tier. So how do you move up in tiers? You move up in tiers by ranking for more keywords. Pretty simple. How do you rank for more keywords? You rank for more keywords by creating more content. Again, we're talking volume and quality and quantity. Again, we're talking quantity to start getting initial rankings, and then go back and work on quality later. You rank faster by creating content faster. It's the same theme. You get more by creating more. You get faster by creating faster. And every avalanche starts with a snowball. So you're going to start with low competition keywords. You're going to start by finding low competition, easy keywords, and then build up from there. As you rank for more easy keywords, then you're going to move up in tier. All right, so let's talk about how to set up your site. We're going to keep it pretty simple here, assume you know most of the basics, but I'm going to recommend that you buy your domain name on Namecheap. And as the name suggests, I found it to be the cheapest place to get domains. Typically, I've got like hundreds of domains through them. They're a great company. A lot of their products are really awesome, but yeah, for domains, I just think they're the easiest. And then to save a little extra money, I would recommend you get the Honey app, which is a free Chrome extension. And as you can see here, almost every time that I try to buy domains, Honey will just automatically, it just sits in the background while you're browsing the internet, and it'll look for coupons and discounts for things on that webpage. So on Namecheap, it does a really good job of almost every time having like 10, 15, sometimes 20% off the total price. So in combination, that's how I would recommend getting your domain. So you can check those out from affiliate links down below here. As far as what you should start with for your domain, I say if you don't know exactly what niche you're going to be writing, creating content for, whatever, and you don't know what to start with, just start with yourname.com. That's like the best place to start. You can obviously do sort of a pen name or a brand name sort of thing like I do with the nomadbrad.com as well. But just pick something that's around your name, and don't worry about having it be a specific niche. I'm debating right now whether I want to say niche or niche, but my Midwest side is going to go with niche. So we're going to go with niche. And so even if you don't know, don't worry about choosing a specific niche right now, because the methods that we're going to be talking about, you're going to be able to be fluid with your niche and move into different ones as you progress, as you decide, test things, see what works, see what you're interested in, what you want to keep developing content for. So again, if you know what you want to do, go ahead and pick something else, but I say just start with yourname.com. And as far as hosting goes, I'm going to recommend two different things depending on whether you are sort of a beginner to a lot of this online tech stuff, or if you're a little more advanced, particularly if you understand some more advanced things about servers and WordPress, and you want to save a little extra and get some other, kind of big tech bonuses. So for a starter, I'm going to recommend Bluehost. This is hotly debated online, but I've been using Bluehost since like 2009, and I've got a bunch of different sites on there. I've had at least one site on there since 2009. So they're a great company. They recently started acquiring cool WordPress companies as well. So they're getting better and better at WordPress. So I would just start with Bluehost. You can get the, $3.95 a month from one of the links below if you want. Obviously, you can pursue some other hosting solutions if you already know about that. The other one I want to bring up is one that not as many people know. It's called Cloudways. and it's kind of a more advanced sort of cloud platform, but they do specialize in WordPress, and I've been using them for a while. And if you're going to build a lot of sites, then you can get some, say, operational efficiencies from working with Cloudways, and a lot of times you can actually reduce your costs. And so basically start with Bluehost, and if you're more advanced and you already have a lot of traffic, I would look into Cloudways and see if it's a good option for you. So if you sign up for either of them from my affiliate link on this page, then you can go ahead and contact me, let me know, and we can jump on a call, and I'll help you set up either one, get your website set up, just like a one-time call for either one, just as a thank you for, using my affiliate link. And honestly, both these companies I think are great. Bluehost, you'll hear a lot of people say, things about page speed and stuff, but I wouldn't worry about that until you start getting lots of traffic. Then you can have a conversation of, do you want to upgrade your Bluehost or do you want to transfer over to Cloudways? And again, if you sign up for one or the other and you want to know how to transfer things over, I can help you with that too. But yeah, so that's my opinion on hosting. I usually go with one or the other depending on what I'm looking to do with the site. Cloudways is kind of like my portfolio long-term hosting solution. So we're also going to talk about our WordPress setup. We're going to be using WordPress. It's just the best. It's free. And then as far as a WordPress theme goes, then I'm going to recommend Cadence WP or just Cadence. It is free. I think that it looks really beautiful. It looks very clean and modern. They are owned by Liquid Web, another great hosting company. And so they're constantly doing updates. They're constantly working on their design, on their backend, optimize. A lot of these themes you'll get from like Theme Forest or something like that, they're just kind of cobbled together by somebody. And I've made this mistake before. When I first got into blogging many years ago, I bought a custom theme that looked beautiful, but that person probably built that from their dorm room or something, and that was 10 years ago, and now it's just like they're not supporting it anymore. And when you go with something like Cadence, you're going to constantly be tapped into the most modern sort of design trends and tech trends and everything. So I really like it. Again, it's free. I would just go with that if you don't know another theme that you want to use. So let's do a quick overview of WordPress plugins I'm going to recommend here too. And for SEO plugins, you might have heard of a lot of them. I've tried, I think, all of them. And at this point, I'm pretty set that Rank Math is the best. Again, it's getting a lot of funding, it's getting a lot of activity, and it's my recommendation. It does everything that you need and more with SEO. And yeah, I just think it's the most modern solution, particularly over Yoast, in my opinion. And it's got really great on-page SEO stuff. Getting your sitemap set up is very easy. So I would definitely recommend Rank Math. And then for image optimization, I try to keep my sites very lean in general and install as few plugins as possible. But I do think, generally speaking, this is a pretty normal beginner mistake that I've made many times is, WordPress has this really great interface for uploading images, but then you don't really realize that it usually inserts the full size image into your blog. And this can be a cause for slow page speeds and just general kind of bloat on your server. And so that can start causing some problems with your hosting provider and stuff like that. So I recommend you go ahead and get started with an image optimizer right out of the gate. So basically this program, Short Pixel, it's free for up to 100 images a month for any images that you add to your blog. And again, this is going to save you a lot of space on your server, and it's going to make your pages load faster, which can be a ranking factor sometimes. And it's easy to set up. And again, it runs in the background once you get it installed. So I would recommend that. I've used some other solutions too. They're all pretty good, but I really like Short Pixel. Now for Link Manager, this is a kind of new solution as of the time that I'm making this, but it is genuinely my favorite plugin for affiliate marketing ever. It is really amazing. It does things that I've wished plugins could do for a long time, and it does them all beautifully. It's a new company. I've seen the owner talk on some podcasts and stuff. He's very excited about this. He's a very successful affiliate marketer in his own right, and he's kind of just building in the features that he wished existed when he was building all of his niche sites and affiliate sites that were very successful. He's just putting them into this plugin. And so if you're familiar with a plugin like Pretty Links or Thirsty Affiliates, this is basically a replacement for that, but it's also a lot more. Now those plugins are free and I've used them in the past. They're definitely good enough, but the difference between something that's good enough and something that's really beautifully designed can be everything when you're doing a business like this. Because when I see a display like that, so it does link management, right? So it does link cloaking, as they say, which is taking like a long, ugly affiliate link with a lot of numbers and random letters and stuff and making it short and pretty. So an example would be, you know, a hop link from ClickBank would be like, whatever, a bunch of random characters. And then this plugin will turn it into the nomadbrad.com/affiliate product. And then when people are either looking at your links on your blog articles or wherever they see your links, they're just going to see the nomadbrad.com/affiliate product instead of the, you know, 75327.clickbank.hop. Whatever. So you're going to want this anyways. And I just recommend Lasso. It is paid and they don't have a free version, but personally, I think it's worth it if you're really serious about doing this. But if you know, oh, the other thing that it does really beautifully is these comparison tables, and it also manages everything on the back end in a really nice way. It makes it searchable. You can find your links really easily, and it's integrated with Google Analytics. It tracks click stats, which nothing else really does very well. Or if they do it in a really sloppy way in the database. So anyways, I highly recommend you get Lasso as well. And as with all these products, if possible, I have an affiliate link below. If you want to help me out by getting it through that, I would appreciate it. Now, for building pages, generally, I'm just going to recommend that we use the built-in Gutenberg editor in WordPress just because it's faster, and I think it does a good enough job for almost everything. So for most blog posts, I'm just going to use the basic WordPress editor. And however, sometimes you're going to want to build special pages like landing pages, or you want to make a template page for certain types of posts, or if you just want to take a particular post, if you get a post that's, you know, getting a lot of traffic, you might just want to kind of take it to the next level. And for that, I recommend Elementor. It's used by over 5 million people. It's got tons of additional plugins that are being built for it all the time to extend its capabilities. There's tons of support. They have a really great website with a huge huge knowledge base of support. They also have a huge YouTube channel where there's tutorials on just about everything. So it's a drag and drop builder. If you're familiar with something like ClickFunnels or OptimizePress or something like that, it's very familiar. It, you know, feels very familiar to that. And there's just almost infinite options. So if you want to build really beautiful pages quickly and easily with drag and drop, then I recommend Elementor and nothing else really. You don't want to install a whole bunch of page builders if you can avoid it. I have done that. It's okay, but you generally don't want to do that. So I either do Elementor or the built-in Gutenberg editor, and I'll show you how to use either of those. So that is the website setup stuff, and you know, I trust that if you're watching this, you probably know how to get all that stuff set up on your own. But if you need any help, you know, you can reach out through the contact form on this page. All right, now we're going to get into the process, and we're going to start by talking about keyword research. And the idea that I want to convey to you is something that helped me out a lot in particularly having ADHD was, you know, not having to reinvent my time spent. You know, whenever I get interested in a topic and I go down a research rabbit hole and I do some keyword research, a lot of times I kept having to do research on the same products, the same niche, whatever, over and over and over. And I realized that if I just saved every time I pull keywords from a tool, then I should just save it in one central place. So I'm going to show you a couple different ways to do that. The most basic way is just keeping one, you know, big folder on your computer, or I like to use Dropbox as well, just so that it gets synced up to, you know, everything and gets backed up and everything like that. But the idea is that you're going to keep a keyword library. So you only have to pull keyword research, you know, once for a particular keyword or topic instead of having to do it over and over and over. And this is going to save you a lot of time in the future. And it's going to help you, you know, the more you start building this library, you're going to get smarter and have better ideas, and you're going to, you know, see a lot of trends, and you're going to start just noticing patterns and things that you might not have noticed before if you were always having to go back to the tool, pull the keywords again. So you're going to build a keyword library for the topics that you want to create content about. And I think of this as my treasure trove of keywords. This is where, the money is going to come from, is doing keyword research, finding keywords, and then creating content, you and your AI co-pilot working together. And that's eventually what's going to get you traffic. That's going to get you clicks on affiliate links or impressions and clicks on ads, whatever. So this is really important to have a keyword library. So treasure it. This is where all of your great ideas are going to go and where all of your good content is going to come from. So you also want to use, I recommend, so you want to have a central folder where you store all of your keywords in their raw form, right? Like in a CSV or spreadsheet. And that's good to have, just to know, like, did I already research this thing? Particularly if you have, like ADHD like I do, then that kind of stuff can get really hard to keep track of. So, I just put them all, each topic or product or whatever that I'd research, I put it in a folder in my Dropbox. But there's a separate system that I'll recommend. I'll show you some examples of having either a Google Sheet or a Notion database where you also keep track of, okay, not only have I already researched this keyword and it's in my sheet, but then keeping track of, did I turn this keyword into content yet? And that's going to be really important too. So you're not wasting time inventing these things. You're not going like, oh, I should write a post about, best time to use Dropbox or whatever. When you go to check your spreadsheet or your Notion database, you see, oh, I actually already created that a long time ago. And you won't have to log into your WordPress site and do a search and all that stuff. So I think it's also important to keep track of a record of which keywords you've already turned into content, into new blog posts. So again, I'm going to recommend 2 different ways of doing this. One is using Notion. If you're a little more technically savvy, maybe like a developer type background or a designer, it's also very aesthetically pleasing. It's kind of like both really technical and also really beautiful and elegant. However, I particularly found it kind of hard to learn how to use. It can be kind of overwhelming to learn how to use. So if you already know how to use it, I'd recommend you go with Notion for this. But if you don't, and also if you're just more comfortable with a more traditional method, then I would go with Google Sheets, and I'll show you some examples of what that looks like. But yeah, just build a simple Google Sheet or Notion database where you keep track of the keywords that you've researched, and you also keep track of which of those you've turned into content. So that's the keyword library idea, and I'll show you examples. All right, so I'm going to show you a few different examples of something like this, like a master spreadsheet for each keyword. So this is, again, using Bluehost as our term. Here we've got all of our keywords that we pulled from Keyword Explorer, and I'm going to cover that more in one of the upcoming modules. But once you have your keywords, then you put it in here, and importantly, this tells you whether or not you've already published this to your blog. So once you create a how to upgrade Bluehost plan, you just check it off, and then you don't have to keep going back to your website and figuring out, did I actually create this yet or not, or trying to remember or anything like that. So this is the Google Sheets version. Of course, Google Sheets is free. This is another version of the same idea, but using a different keyword method that I'm going to cover in an upcoming module as well, using the YouTube keyword method. And this is the Notion version, at least my version. And so again, you can just kind of keep this database here, and as you create content for each of the keywords that you want, you just check it off in a checkbox. And the way that you add a checkbox too in Notion is you just go over here and you'll say checkbox, and then you name it. I always just name it published, just to let myself know. And then you can move that up here to wherever you want it. So you can figure out how to use Notion. Again, it can be really simple or really complex depending on your dispositions and skill set. But I love Google Sheets too. It's very organized, very clean. There's a ton of things you can do as far as formulas you can make to process the data and everything. But this is the basic keyword library. So your keywords basically live in your folder library. And this is just a simple example of one of my folders that I would have in my master library just for Bluehost. So anytime I go and pull different types of keywords from different tools or at different times, then I'm just going to store them in their raw form, sort of in a database in my Dropbox folder for all keywords. And so then I never have to go into a tool and pull that keyword again. I can see if it's stored on my computer. And then there's the next layer, which is the sheet or the database. And then you move it from the raw form of the CSV into the sheet or database. And then that becomes your new source of truth. That becomes your new content creation, ultimate source of truth. Like you'll just check your spreadsheet or your Notion database to see, did I create this content or not? And it's a good way to keep it organized and make sure you don't have to keep recreating the same work. So it's kind of an efficiency thing. That's what it looks like. And again, you can do all sorts of crazy things if you're a developer, a programmer, or just like good with formulas. I highly recommend you take some time to look up, how to use these platforms more. See, you can come up with really cool ideas for filtering data, for formatting things, for adding dynamic content, even linking up with WordPress and doing some magical things through APIs and stuff like that. I'll leave that up to you for your creativity. But yeah, that's the keyword library. Okay, so now we're coming to our actual keyword research, and I'm going to show you some different methods here. The first one we're going to cover is called the YouTube channel method. I've never seen anybody talk about this, but I've been using it for a while to generate really great content. It works particularly well with the blogging with bots methodology, where you start with a sort of minimum viable piece of content and then you build it up into something better over time. And you'll see why here in a second. The reason that it works really well is because it's integrating the fact that Google owns YouTube and tends to, I learned this from one of my mentors, I'll probably mention him more, Greg Jeffries, that Google loves Google. So he taught me that basically Google is going to want to rank things that it owns above other things. So it owns YouTube, so it likes YouTube videos. Obviously, this isn't a guaranteed thing. If it has to choose between two different posts that it sees of equal value, and one of them has a YouTube video that it is relevant to the topic and one doesn't, then it might prefer, in a lot of cases, to choose the YouTube video. So I think it's a great place to start with creating content in a lot of ways. And again, it's kind of a method that nobody's ever talked about. So I'll outline it first and then I'll demonstrate it in the next video. But the YouTube channel method is essentially, you're going to download VidIQ, and that is a tool for optimizing YouTube videos and channels. It does a lot of analytics. It does a lot of trend analysis, stuff like that. I've used it for years for my YouTube channel. So you're going to download VidIQ, and you're going to find channels in your niche, and look for ones that have really well optimized titles for SEO. So some channels, they have more like clickbait, like trendy things. Those probably aren't going to work as well. You're going to look for channels that have great SEO titles and they're sort of informative about a keyword, and you can draw the videos from that channel as the baseline for a lot of your posts. So I'll show you how that works more in a second, but the basic process is, you download VidIQ, you find a channel in your niche, you go to their videos tab, you sort by their most popular. Actually, you don't even have to sort because VidIQ is just going to pull them anyways, but I like to sort them anyways just to get a glance of what topics are most important on this channel, which things have gotten the most views, because if it's an SEO based channel, the videos are optimized for SEO. It's likely that those searches came from either the Google search engine or from YouTube. So it's a good baseline for what people probably want for that keyword. So then we're going to download them to a CSV, and then we're going to upload them into one of our keyword library sheets and use that for a basis for creating content in the future. Okay, so we're on the Bluehost YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube and search for a channel that you think is going to have good videos. And we go to the videos tab. And again, this is just for my own purposes. Once you have VidIQ installed and integrated into your YouTube, it's going to start showing these extra little buttons and stuff. Lots of cool things. If you're doing YouTube at all, I highly recommend you use VidIQ. But the one that we're going to use here is the CSV export. But real quick, I'll show you generally just to look through the channel to make sure that that some of the videos are, first off, there's 325 videos, so that's pretty good baseline for content. And just make sure that some of them are SEO friendly. So how to promote a website, that they speak to keywords that people would search for, right? How to redirect your domain name. Now, a lot of channels that do trendier content, they might have a title of a YouTube video that says, I moved into my new house. Obviously, that's not a keyword that you're ever going to be able to create content for that's going to rank. People are watching that because they know the channel creator or whatever, they're curious. So this is a different game, and you're looking for things that people would search on search engines, and that's where you're going to use these videos. So that is not a good video. Bluehost in 5 seconds, the bomb expert, unless people are searching for that video itself, as a case study or something. But all about Bluehost, probably not. How to find which database your WordPress install is using, that's probably a good one. So we're going to download all of them, and we're just going to click that CSV export and say export all their videos. And VidIQ is just going to go ahead and download all of their videos. And then we're going to save it to our keyword library in the Dropbox folder, just so now we don't have to ever go in and pull the videos for this channel again. If you exhaust all of the videos on this channel for creating content for your blog and you want their newest ones, then obviously you could do that. But for the most part, you're probably never even going to have to do this ever again, because you saved it to your keyword library and you know that it's in there. So anytime in the future you say, did I ever go look up the Bluehost channel for this niche? So now you can save it into the folder for this particular topic, in this case Bluehost, in your keyword library Dropbox folder, if you do it that way. And so now it's saved in its raw form, the CSV, and then the next phase is we're just going to upload it to either our Google Sheets or our Notion database, depending on which system you choose to use. Okay, so once you upload it into your system, then you're going to see this is all of the videos that were on that channel sorted by views. So I just went to sort range, advanced sorting options, and I sorted by the column that the views are in. In this case, it's K, and then I sorted down. So now it's sorted by views, so you can see which are the most popular videos on the channel. And some of them are going to be a good fit, some of them are not. But we're going to, say how to install WordPress using Mojo Marketplace. That's a really good keyword. So then I'll show you how to integrate this into your writing process. But once you do create the article based on this YouTube video, then you can check it off and say it's published, and now you don't have to wonder again if you already created that in the future. So you can do this over and over again for prominent YouTube channels in your niche, and it's going to give you a really great source of starting out your articles with some built-in kind of keyword relevance, authority, topical authority that we're going to talk throughout the course. And also, if you do rank for that keyword and people come to the page and it's a keyword that people want to watch that video, it's fairly likely that they actually will watch the video on your page, and that's going to be incredible for your on-page retention. So people staying on your page longer, which is a good signal to Google. So that's the power of this keyword research method. Okay, so the next few methods are going to be involving Ahrefs, and there's several different ways that we're going to use it. Some you may know, some you may not. And of course, these methods can be done in any of the keyword tools that are similar to Ahrefs. I know it's kind of pricey, especially if you're just starting out. So I do think it's the best overall if you can afford it. Once you start making some money from your blog, then I would highly recommend you get Ahrefs. But in the meantime, I'll list all of the very similar tools below, and you can see which one might be the right fit for you. But yeah, they all basically can do these methods, I think. So yeah, it can also be used with Semrush, etc. So the first method that I'll outline here and then I'll demonstrate later is the easy peasy keywords method, is what I call it. And basically that is just going after the easiest keywords in your topic that you're going to build authority in. So to do that in Ahrefs, we're going to go to keywords, then we're just going to enter the keyword, and we're going to go to matching terms and then change the keyword difficulty to less than 20. And as my old buddy Marcus, as he likes to say, one of my favorite affiliate YouTube content creators, I learned this idea. I mean, it kind of is obvious, but I think it's hard to know whether it's actually real or not until you try it a lot and you see, okay, this really does work. And I got a lot of confidence in doing that from Marcus. So I'll credit him with the phrase green means go, which is pretty simple to remember. And It's not absolute. None of these keywords are absolutely true and accurate. They're all just guessing. They're all kind of, using their own proprietary methods to guess at what Google could or would do. So it's not absolute fact, but the way that we're creating content fast, we're creating that, again, that snowball of content, and we're going to cover a lot of different keywords, and we can write quickly because we're using AI and we're doing it in a certain strategy. Something's going to work, and the more you start with the green keywords, the better chance you're going to get traffic faster to start building that snowball turns into an avalanche. So the second method here is reverse engineering. And to do this, you're basically going to put in either a domain, like a whole website, or just a single page and see what it ranks for in Google already. And then you can take those keywords that it ranks for and you can create content from that. And if you are just starting out, again, with the SEO Avalanche method, then I would recommend doing that filter again with anything less than 20. So you're going to go to Site Explorer in Ahrefs. You're going to put in a domain or a page and go to organic keywords. And then again, just change the keyword difficulty to less than 20. And those are going to be your most likely to rank keywords the fastest to start building out that topical authority. And again, according to Marcus, green means go. Method number 3 is questions. So this often gets overlooked, but it's a really, really good way to build topical authority. And so for this one, you're just going to go to the Keywords Explorer again. You're going to enter the keyword that you want to get questions for, and then click Questions, View All. And again, if you want the easiest to rank for, the most likely to rank for, the fastest, change the keyword difficulty to less than 20. Green means go. So I will show you how to do each of these in the next video. Okay, first, the easy peasy keyword method. So we've gone to the Keywords Explorer and we've typed in Bluehost, and you can see overall Bluehost is a very hard keyword to rank for, right? That makes sense. It's very popular. It's been around forever. All the most, the most skilled affiliate marketers and SEOs and stuff have been going after this keyword for a long time. However, just like with any popular keyword, there are still terms that those people don't have time to go after. And so you can see the first, a bunch of keywords that Bluehost ranks for are really difficult to rank for. But if you change the keyword difficulty to 20 or less, then all of a sudden it's starting to look a lot better. And again, green means go. Again, there's no guarantees. There's nothing that says just because one of these tools says it's easy to rank for that you're going to rank for it. But that's where our ability to create content really fast with AI is going to help us, because we can just keep casting a wide net and see which ones actually are easy to rank for. We can build from there. And we're going to start with that minimum viable creative idea, that minimum viable post. As Adam Enfroy says, that concept I got from him is really valuable, is that minimum viable post is just the first version. And then you can see out of those, some of those are going to rank, especially if you're doing the methods that I'm teaching in here. Some of them are going to rank. So you can get traffic, you can make money and stuff. And you can also build those posts up to make them better, or you can go find other ones and build them up until they do rank. So it's a very dynamic strategy, but this is the easy peasy method. So you just filter by the easy keywords and then click export. And you can see here there's 788. So that's a lot of content. That's a ton of blog articles that you can create. And so then you save it to your keyword library and then turn that into a sheet or a database. And then you can start checking off the ones that you create as you create them. And I'm sure you can see how this is already starting to build that snowball effect. Okay, so now this is the reverse engineer method. So this time we're going to go to Site Explorer and we're going to type in a domain. And you can see that this domain, Bluehost, ranks for 113,000 keywords. So again, a lot of these very hard, basically impossible. You'll never rank for them. But if we filter by same thing, now we're down to still 24,000 keywords that you should theoretically be able to rank for easier. Now, of course, look, right here you can see that the tools aren't always that accurate, because you're not going to rank for Bluehost.com or Bluehost pricing. But for some reason, the tool thinks that's easy. But that doesn't matter. Don't get tripped up on that. It doesn't have to be perfect accuracy with every single one. The idea is to get the pattern and the trend. And as you go further and further into that long tail, these are going to get easier and easier. So the further down in popularity you go with these keywords, the easier they become to rank. All right, so the next method is the questions method. So again, we're just going to type in a keyword, Bluehost, and then up here in Ahrefs, there's this questions button. You just click that, and now all of a sudden it's going to filter for what questions are people asking about this topic. So if you remember back in the beginning, we talked about topical authority and we showed the answer the public, visual, that circle. A lot of building topical authority is just about answering questions that human beings have about this topic. And if you answer enough of these questions, Google is going to say, hey, this is an authoritative place to get questions answered about that topic. So if you were to answer, in this case, there's 64, okay. So if you were to answer all 64 of these questions and do it well through combining, your writing, maybe YouTube videos that you make or the ones that you find on other channels, and answer all these questions, it's fairly likely that Google is going to give you credibility for being an authoritative source of information on this topic on Bluehost. Now, again, it's dynamic. You have to think strategically. Maybe Bluehost, you'll never be able to be an authority on Bluehost to Google, but if you were to apply the same method to less and less popular but still very lucrative keywords, and you move into other niches and stuff, then this method is going to eventually bring you tons of traffic. So this is the questions method. So the next set of keyword research methods are going to come from using the tool Surfer SEO. If you don't know Surfer SEO, it's an amazing tool built a few years ago, a little bit ahead of the trend of this AI stuff. And what they do is they basically algorithmically determine, what Google wants to rank for certain keywords. So it's a way to figure out, the way we're going to use it for keyword research is to figure out what does Google think makes an authoritative site for this keyword. So you can see an example here with the Bluehost keyword again. It organizes there's a feature in there that I'll show you how to use for keyword research, where you put in a topic and basically Surfer gives you the topical authority map for that topic. So this is Bluehost, and they organize it into things they call clusters. And so that's just another way to gather keywords. You can download these into a CSV, and again, you can turn them into a sheet where you can create content from. And the way we're going to use it, I'll outline here, and then I'll show you, is to go to the keyword research tool inside of Surfer, and we're going to use it, just this one tool, to know how to build topical authority. And this is based on what Google actually is ranking currently for these keywords. So it's very likely to be accurate, and it uses AI analysis. They're always improving their software. They're, got a lot of money. They're getting a lot of popularity, so a lot of funding, continuing to improve their processes. So it's a great tool. And then we can use that too to build a content editor. And I will also show you how to use that. You've probably seen it around, but it's basically a way to, within a single article, to know what do I have to put on this page to give it the best chance, according to their data, to rank for this keyword. So we're going to use them in tandem, but Surfer is a really awesome tool for seeing that topical authority map and knowing what you need to talk about for Google to think that you're a topical authority. And then it's also a great tool for actually creating the content in a way that is very likely to rank. Another reason this is amazing is it actually fully integrates with the writing tool we're going to use, which I'll introduce you to shortly. So this is the Surfer SEO keyword research method, and I'll show you how that works. All right, so the last source of keyword research and topics to turn into content is just your own ideas. So as you do more and more research into your niche, the things that you're interested in, any topic that piques your curiosity, turn it into keywords, turn it into content. And if you just off the cuff have a question or are curious about something, then just go ahead and even if you don't do any research, even if you don't care about, how many people search for this per month, just publish it. Just put it out there. I heard an analogy, I forget the creator, but there's somebody very famous in the writing space for the concept of a digital garden. I really like that, to have your blog as a place to collect the things that you think are interesting. They don't have to be a fully SEO optimized article all the time. Sometimes it's just something that you thought was cool. It could be a link to a book that you really liked. It could be, your personal thoughts on a YouTube video that you watched, or you can make a list of your favorite blogs, or your favorite books on a topic, or whatever. It doesn't always have to be this perfectly optimized thing. And I think anytime you hit publish, it's a win, and you should celebrate that and be excited, because number one, you're doing something, which is always great. You have momentum. You are getting better and better at these skills. You're going to get better at research. You're going to get better at your intuition about a niche, about a topic, about understanding how keywords work. You're going to learn more about the tools, so you're going to use them more efficiently. You're going to use them more creatively. You're going to combine them in interesting ways that nobody else would think to do. You're going to bring your other skills, your experiences, your intuition, your personality, your creativity into this. And so you're going to create things that nobody's ever created. And the more things that you create, the more chances you have that something is going to, impact someone else, whether that's just getting shown in the search engines and then somebody getting to click on it and then going, seeing an ad, or clicking on an affiliate link and making a sale, or just learning more about you and being curious and saying, who is this person? This is a lot of great content. Or what is this site? A lot of great content. And then they go learn more about you, and they go to your YouTube channel, or they buy your book, or they sign up for your newsletter, or whatever. It's all good, in my opinion. So build your digital garden, put anything in there that you think is interesting. Don't worry so much about being, exactly focused on a niche. You can evolve your topical authority over time. Obviously, the closer you stay to certain topics, the faster Google can figure it out. But over time, it's natural for sites to evolve. So it's okay for you to have a few pieces of content on other topics too. And then eventually maybe you'll start going more into those topics, or maybe society, culture, web traffic will pick up and get really interested in that thing. And suddenly that weird, article you wrote 2 years ago, some book that you really liked, well, maybe that book gets really popular and your article is positioned to grab traffic. So I don't ever think it's a bad thing to publish, at least at the stage I'm at now. And I think for most people just getting started in, blogging or affiliate marketing or anything like that, just hitting publish is great. Whether you wrote that organically from yourself, or you curated an AI copilot to, write it with you, whether you're doing it for strict SEO optimization, that's a beautiful creative act as well. It's cool. You're using modern technology. You're trying to understand how Google works, and ultimately, you're trying to understand what other humans want and are interested in, and you're trying to serve them. So it all works pretty well. So publishing your own ideas, always great, I think. Embed videos that you make. If you make TikToks or YouTube shorts, put those on your blog posts. It all helps Google to find it. You'll get serendipitous things that happen. Sometimes when I make a YouTube short or something, I'll put a link back to my blog, and then that short gets picked up on a whole bunch of syndication sites. And so I'll get all these like backlinks back to my website and stuff like that just from making a short. So just bring it all together, put it all out there, build your digital garden. And, when you combine that sort of open-ended creativity, any idea that you have, just go ahead and put it on there, try it out, see what happens. And then you combine that with all the very strategic and tactical stuff that we're doing, I think it's going to be a really fun, business venture for you. I think you're going to really enjoy blogging, as I have learned to really enjoy it now. Again, another source is to answer your own questions. So whenever you have a question, basically about anything, but obviously the better, if you want to build a site that gets topical authority in specific topics or a group of topics, then it's better if the questions are related to those topics, but they can be pretty loose associations. So here's the process that this happens to me all the time. Whenever I have a question about something that's even vaguely related to the stuff I'm interested in, which tends to be the stuff I want to create content for, and the niches that I'm interested in, the research that I do in my free time. If I have a question about it and then I go do research on Google or YouTube or TikTok or whatever, then I just take a few extra minutes at the end of that process. So maybe it takes me 15, 20 minutes, maybe it takes me a day, a week, a month, whatever, to research this topic. But once I have the answer, I'll just publish it. I'll just put it on a blog article. And I don't think about optimizing and stuff. That can happen later if I really want to. If I do research and I see, actually, that email that I wrote 6 weeks ago would be perfect for that. Let me try to optimize it for SEO. I just publish it, just because, again, publishing something is better than not publishing something, at least in the beginner to intermediate and getting that initial momentum. So any question that you have, even if it's not in these tools, it's likely a question that another human being has had. So if you answer your own questions, and the guys from Income School, if you're not familiar with them, they talk about this a lot. Just being yourself, being a human, and saying, what would other humans wonder about this topic, and creating content for that. So one of the best ways to do it is just, as you have questions, do the research, find the answer, and then put your version of the answer on your blog. And it has a chance then to be found by Google, to be found by other people, to be found by people on social media, whatever. It has a chance. The more you optimize it, the more strategic you are, the better chance it has. But even if you just publish it, it has a chance. Or maybe, you start sending clients to this blog post you wrote a year ago when you were just really obsessed with a topic, and you just nailed, you went down the rabbit hole and you figured out the 7 best tools for keyword research or something, and you put your favorite 7 tools. And now whenever you work with clients, you go, oh, actually, I wrote a blog article about this. Here, I'll send you a link. And, you just keep going back to it, and gets more and more use, and you spend that energy one time, and then you get this asset that you can keep building. So it's good for Topical Authority, good for your creativity and curiosity, and it's good for your momentum. So that's my opinion on this, and I think it's a great source of additional content. And again, with our AI method, our AI Copilot method of writing content, then it's easier than ever to have a great idea and then have the AI, help you write the content. Search engines and people would need to kind of accompany it, but you still create that initial idea. All right, so we're nearing the end here, and we're going to talk about writing. This is kind of the crux of the whole method. So you've learned tons of ways to have basically infinite keywords to create content from. You've learned the strategy, the SEO Avalanche method, and Topical Authority concepts, and the mass page authority philosophy of creating lots of content that's good enough to get some momentum, get some ranking, get some traffic, and then you can go back and improve it later. So how are we actually going to create these pieces of content and actually write these articles? So we're blogging with bots, obviously. So we're going to be using a very modern method of writing with an AI copilot. And this is, in my opinion, based on the research I've done and the experience that I've had so far, this is a great way to balance quality with speed. The big advantage that blogging with bots and writing with AI copilot and AI in general does is speed. It really helps us to create content faster. And the quality that we're going for, however, so I've experimented with a lot of different methods with AI writing for SEO, and there's definitely some pros and cons. Typically, as you can imagine, the easier it is to create the content, then the less quality it is. Now, Google recently came out. I'll try to find and link to the article, but they basically said that ultimately, as of 2023, their stance on AI content is they're not going to police whether or not content was created by a human or an AI. They're just going to let their algorithm and their users decide what is most useful. So that's the benchmark that they're using. So I think that we can, safely take advantage of these AI tools to create as good a quality as possible for other humans, and we can just do it much faster and in much more systematic ways. So we're going with this idea of a minimum viable creative or minimum viable post. I learned that specifically in the SEO realm from Adam Enfroy, really great teacher of SEO and blogging and stuff. But he's applying the methodology of the lean startup from startups, which is that you don't want to spend all of your time, energy, and resources creating the perfect product or the perfect business or the perfect thing before you know that it's going to work. And that's the methodology that we're using here too, is we don't want to spend all of our time and effort creating blog posts, paying somebody maybe $100, $200 to write this amazing blog post and just hoping that it ranks and hoping that it gets traffic and stuff, because Google is much more mysterious than that. So, that's why we're using the strategy that we're using. That's what I learned from Greg Jeffries and Kevin Holloman and the other mass page site advocates, is that if you cast a wide net, if you put lots of hooks in the water, as Greg likes to say, then you're going to find out some of those are actually going to work. And that's been my experience too. So when you combine it with all of the things that you've learned in this course, I think you have a really good chance to rank for a lot more than you'd ever think of. And by using the tools that I recommend, you're kind of getting that sweet spot that I've experimented with between quality and speed. And so again, keep in mind that minimum viable creative or minimum viable post. Just like think of, each keyword we create content for, just try to make the first version as good as you can with the energy that you have or the systems that you have. With your AI copilot, that's going to be a lot easier than in the past when you'd have to do that writing on your own. But just make the minimum viable and then go ahead and go back and improve it. If you start getting traffic, or if you get, your article indexed but it's not getting traffic, then you can go back and try to improve it and work on that. So again, we're balancing quality versus speed. It's important, I think, to have that quality aspect. I've definitely used a lot of tools that create lots and lots of content really fast, and it can create some very impressive results, but it's typically short-lived. And that's why I've arrived at this blogging with bots method currently, which is, again, bringing that quality piece, but still using AI to do a bulk of the writing, which is a huge relief to someone like me who struggles with that sort of blank page problem. Even though I love writing, it's typically overwhelming for me, particularly with ADHD. And I have so many creative ideas, and I'm sure you do as well. I want to try to see, I want to understand these markets. I want to put content out there and have a chance at ranking and understand, oh, wow, this, if I create content this way, people respond to it really well. They click on my ads or my links a lot. So it's a balance of all these things. And the quality that we're aiming for is the quality that's enough to rank, especially for, in the beginning, low competition keywords. And the speed that we're aiming for is as fast as possible. So that's going to be different for everybody depending on just a lot of factors. But the speed that we're aiming for is as many articles as we can, as fast as possible, with that minimum viable creative model, minimum viable post. And I mentioned before the Google views on AI so far as of 2023 is that they're not going to judge whether or not content was made by AI. They're just going to judge what's the most useful to the users, and that's going to win in the search engines. So I've decided that I'm going to be using Jasper AI as the tool for this method. I think that in the tests that I've done so far, it scores high in less AI detectability, and I think it writes really good content. I mean, I think that it's really readable. It's really creative in so far, all the testing that I've done. And it seems, it just looks very natural. And when I add my own additions to it, my own editing of what it says, or, formatting everything, I think it ends up looking really nice. And so far it's working for search engines. So I think it's the right balance. And you may have heard of this term, human in the loop, which is generally in AI, it's this concept of as we go forward into the future, as AI technology continues to improve, then a lot of our jobs are going to be less. It's not as binary as either humans do it or AI does it. It's going to be more like human in the loop or a co-pilot method, which basically means that the AI is doing a lot of the work, but we are piloting it in a way that, uses our natural, our human mind that understands nuance and understands patterns and things like that. So we're going with the human in the loop method. I've also heard it referred to as a centaur method, which is half human, half, animal as in a centaur. But in this case, it's half AI, half human. So I heard it referred to in chess, like the best chess players now are not, and this is true of poker players, I've heard as well. The best poker players for the longest time were just humans. But when computers and then AI analysis and stuff started coming around, now the best poker players are the humans that pilot the AI at their disposal the best and most creatively. And so I think that's where we're going with SEO and with marketing in general too. The best marketers are going to be the ones who learn to pilot AI the best and do that co-pilot method. And that's what we're going to be doing here. So again, we're hedging quality bets versus speed. We are going to create content way faster than I ever could on my own. but not so fast and so easy that it's the type of content that can be easily replicated and might send signals to Google that you're doing something sort of spammy or whatever. So it's that balance. And yeah, this is going to be your writing co-pilot. In my experience, this has sped up my writing 100x for all those times when I just thought, I don't want to write these boring, facts and little couple intro paragraphs and all this stuff. I just want to write the stuff that's interesting, right? Well, that's what Jasper does. Jasper takes away, the boring kind of writing and lets you focus on the fun stuff. And particularly with Jasper, what I've really loved in this process is their Chrome extension. So it plugs into your account and it uses your credits, but it does it anywhere. So you can be in your email marketing software. You can be in WordPress, which is where I do a lot of my writing in this process, and I'll show you later. You can be in Google Docs, which is another great place to be doing a lot of your writing. Basically, it does writing anywhere and everywhere, and that's a big piece of this strategy is the Chrome extension. And then another thing that I want to mention and is key to this strategy as well, it's not absolutely necessary. I understand all these tools, they add up quickly. So if you're not interested, you can certainly do it without Surfer. But if you get both Surfer and Jasper, they actually combine together perfectly for better SEO quality over time. So they actually integrate because they're both, pretty popular software tools right now. And there's a mode in Jasper that literally pulls up your Surfer SEO account, and you can use it to literally write articles using that content editor that I'll show you, just to make better articles based on real SEO data. So it's another reason this is like the perfect combo. It's balancing and measuring a lot of different factors. Sorry, the wind is getting crazy here, but they combine really well for SEO. And it's basically a step-by-step guide for writing for great SEO, and you're using Jasper to do a bulk of that writing, but you're just sort of guiding it. You're the human on top of the centaur, if you like that kind of imagery. You're the human guiding the power of the AI, or you're that human in the loop. You're guiding this powerful thing and doing all the energy and the human thinking. Okay, so what does this process actually look like? I'm going to show you a few different ways that I use Jasper and Surfer in combination for writing articles really quickly. And this is the whole blogging with bots idea, is to do it really fast. So here again, we have a couple of our keyword libraries. Let's say, we have, and then here's another one using the YouTube method. This is using the questions method. So you have your list here and you say, okay, let's say how to start a blog on Bluehost. All right. So we want to cover that topic for our topical authority map. And so we might go to our blog and our WordPress and just put that in the title here. And then you might want to put it as an H2 as well. And simply, for the first version, just ask Jasper to help you. So we're going to use our AI Copilot here and say, can you write about how to start a blog on Bluehost? And just hit enter. And this is that Chrome extension I was telling you about. Jasper's just sitting here in all the things that you do. Anything that has a text field, Jasper is going to be an option for you to help you write. And so it's come up with a suggestion here based on that command. You can add it to your favorite, say it's good, say it's bad, whatever. You can copy it to your clipboard. You can open this in Jasper and do some further editing, which we'll check out more in a second. You can generate a new one if you don't like this one, or you can click apply. I'm going to click apply and it pastes it into the window. And now kind of up to you as the human in the loop as the co-pilot, to format the content, to add anything that you think it needs, to review it, make sure that it's accurate. One problem, of course, with these AI writers is that they're not always right. So you just have to make sure that what you're saying is accurate, that it makes sense to humans. You can ask it, for more things. If you say, can you add a couple paragraphs about how important blogging is for passive income? So again, it's back to this model where you are the co-pilot. You are the human guiding this powerful tool and kind of pointing it in the right direction of creating content that you think is going to work for both the search engines and for humans who might land on this article. So again, at this point now, Jasper has essentially written an okay article, and you can go through it, make sure it's accurate, make sure it's the type of tone that you want your site to be associated with. You can then go and add images. You can get free images from places like Pexels or Unsplash, or there's a couple other ones out there as well. And some of them are, built into WordPress. So here's an example of the Lasso tool being really useful. Is if I wanted to add a Lasso link in the middle of this article, click add display, click single, and then we search for Bluehost. I have a Bluehost link already. I've already gotten my affiliate link, and now I can just put it into my blog, and it has this really beautiful display. So as people are reading this article, they are fairly likely to see that beautiful display and click on it. This is, part of, using the basic WordPress editor. So this is generally how I would go about creating a piece of content. There are some other things you can do here, like changing the case. I like to use Alfred to do that. I have a little custom script that just changes to title case, but you can do that manually. You can do that with some other external web tools. And then we talked about, rank math as well. You can see here that the things that I would do for on-page SEO is to put it as the focus keyword and then basically follow all the instructions. So rank math is going to give you guidance on how to make it basically a good SEO. And if you follow that, you're going to do 80 or 90% of what good on-page SEO is. So just edit the snippet. I just paste it in there, paste it in there. If you want to, you can add more to the description, or you can even ask Jasper to do some writing for the description, write maybe the tool won't show up in this window specifically, but let's say like you can use Jasper to write a good meta description for a blog article on, let's see what Jasper comes up with. I didn't test this ahead of time, but this could probably work. It's probably taking that suggestion of making a good meta description, and you can paste it in there. Again, just follow these tools. You don't really have to think that much. You get to be the human and let a powerful AI do all the rest, do all the heavy lifting. So you've got rank math doing its thing over here. These are all from rank math. And then you've got, Jasper helping you write the content. You've got Lasso creating beautiful affiliate links. And that is the basics of how you're going to create lots and lots of content. I mean, you just rinse and repeat this. Then after you publish this to your WordPress blog, if you do happen to insert an image, you've got a short pixel in the background that will go and optimize it, make sure it's not too crazy size wise. So once you have that published, then you can go to your keyword library and click the publish button so that you know that that's taken care of. So let's check out one more example of publishing with the YouTube method and using Jasper and WordPress. All right, so for the YouTube method, what we would do is we would take the keyword there and post it into the title. And then we would take the associated YouTube video and just paste it in at the top. And then we're going to ask Jasper to, write an article about what is SEO and how does it work. We're going to paste that in there. Then you can go back, go do your editing, make sure it's all good, looks good. And then you can use Lasso to put in a beautiful link again. And there you go. That's a pretty good article right there for SEO. Do the rank math stuff that I showed you in the last video. And that is the basics of how to create content really fast. And just do that for, every keyword on your list, for every video here. On this one, we used a video. And so we're going to say it's published. Now we know that's done. We can publish to our blog and move on and keep building out that topical authority. Same thing with our Surfer SEO method. And I'm going to show you more specifics on that in the next video. All right, so that Jasper and WordPress combo is going to be enough to get infinite traffic for infinite niches and offers and all that stuff. So if you just follow that, you're going to build topical authority. It's going to be amazing. But for just a bonus, extra kind of focused method, we're going to go back to Surfer SEO and and build out those clusters. So how you would do this is, again, each of these clusters becomes an article. And so doing it this way, it's going to be really focused on, research-based topical authority, trying to create that. And as I mentioned before, Jasper and Surfer are integrated together. So let's check out how that works. So we've got this article I've sorted from low to high for how to start affiliate marketing. These are the clusters that Google thinks are associated with that topic. And I've chosen to go after this low competition one, how to get free traffic for affiliate marketing. You can see the detailed view. This is what according to Surfer, this is what the headings of the article should be about generally. And then once we click open in content editor, then you'll get to see the full content editor of Surfer SEO. And this can be used for any article, but in this case, we're going to be starting a new one from scratch. And here's some other pieces of Surfer SEO that are really cool. This content score, it's going to go up as we add more and more relevant content to the keyword. You can see here, it knows what keyword we're going for, how to get free traffic for affiliate marketing. And it's going to show you all the terms that you should have and how many times you should have each of those terms, generally speaking. And what they say, according to my experience and research so far, is if you can get it into the green, then you're good to go. You don't have to get it out. Every single article doesn't have to be 100 out of 100. But generally speaking, if you want better SEO, then just get this up to a higher, up higher. So that rank math gives you that baseline, 80% good SEO. Surfer is going to take you to that next level. If you complete more articles with the Surfer qualifications of SEO, then you're going to be doing amazing. This is going to be like exactly what Google wants. So if you click this insert headings, then it will go and automatically put in a bunch of ideas for headings. You don't have to use all of them. You can delete some of them. Some of them don't make sense, right? Like if you want to, it's up to you how to format this, but let me show you how you can take this and then put it into either you can go into Jasper itself and use their Jasper SEO feature, which integrates with Surfer. I'll show you that in a second. You can go into Google Docs, which Surfer also integrates with. I'll show you that in a second. Or you can take this back into WordPress if you're comfortable with that too. And Surfer also integrates with that. Jasper integrates with that. So it all works everywhere. You can see we've already gone from 0 to 46 just by having those headings. Obviously, this isn't the kind of post that a human would find useful or Google, but it's a good starting point. So we can see this would be a version of working inside of Jasper. And the way that Jasper works, you've probably seen it before, but you can hit this compose button and Jasper will take in everything that's been written ahead of it and kind of contextually come up with the next piece of content. But another thing you can do is just paste that in there. And if you go up to SEO mode in Jasper, then it's going to pull up your Surfer account and it's going to tell you what your Surfer score is on this article. And so for each of these things, you could say, write about paid traffic and go ahead and hit compose, and Jasper's going to write some stuff about paid traffic. And you see just in doing that, we moved up a couple points. Jasper came up with some of these words. You can start pointing it more and more in the right directions based on Surfer's guidance. So that's using the Jasper built-in method, the Jasper tool, and combining it with Surfer, really great. And then also in Google Docs, you can see that this version of the article is a little more built out, and we can, if we come from Surfer itself, then we can go up here to, you can export it to your WordPress blog. That's one option I haven't used a whole lot. Or you can go to share and or you can go to share and click on that Google Docs link. And finally, you can see Surfer in Google Docs. There's also a free extension that you can get once you sign up for Surfer that integrates with Google Docs. So you can do your writing in there with Jasper in Google Docs. And that is how we create content really fast, is using our AI copilots and being the human in the loop. All right, so that's it. That's the Blogging with Bots course. Thank you so much for being a part of it. And please let me know if you have more questions or ideas on how we can grow this in the future. Check out the links below this video, and thank you again for watching. And if you want to learn more, go to thenomadbrad.com, check out my YouTube channels, and just reach out, send me a message, and let's connect.